Shalom. Call Halal, Yahawah, Shamawashi, Sham, Qadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to the 144,000, the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth among the heathen, the Israelite foreigners. And to the Aquaf that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm, coming at you another lesson in truth. Profiling a video from Mero and Miss Jacqueline Batalora, and giving more of a biblical reference to the things that the information that they're bringing out. And there's a lot of videos, a lot of people going into this blackness of the natives, you know, and how natives, you know, and then it's true. It's true to a certain extent. The census enumerators reclassified a lot of Negroes. A lot of natives as Negroes. Reclassified them as Negroes, and you know, and their name keeps changing every 30, 40 years, and you become colored, you become black, and you became African Americans, and you know, all this other madness. But when you're looking at the imagery of the Jacksons bloodline, especially looking at Jermaine, you can clearly see those what you would call native features in Jermaine's face. If you don't, Jermaine's the one underneath Joe Jackson up there. If you're looking at him, there's like you can see them images. You can see that in Scottie Pippen's face, clear as day. Scottie Pippen may be Choctaw himself. They have a very similar look. And then looking over to the right side of the family of his Choctaw grandparents, you can clearly see Tito's face and his pistol packing great granddaddy there, or great granddaddy, whichever one he is. And then the whole thing about natives, being so-called, not, you can't, as a matter of fact, you got Negroes that can stand right next to this native man, and you really couldn't tell them apart. And the thing is that, natives didn't grow a lot of facial hair, right? And, that's just part of their makeup. Gad and Reuben typically aren't very hairy. Jacob's not very hairy at all, period. But, Judah can grow those majestic beards. I kind of, have a righteous envy over the Judite brothers. I wish my beard, like the soul sap burns, the way the beard connect, mine are just not starting to grow now, and I'm in my 50s, and then that's also with the help of, shout out to the Iscarite brother Ariala, his beard oil that he made up, that, I don't know, there's something about it, man, that makes brothers' hairs grow. Because a lot of brothers' beards were all patchy, and they start using this beard oil, and their beards fill out. So if you want to reach out to that brother. But I'm gonna read a scripture. All right. A very basic scripture. There's nothing fancy. I have a saying, and that's you can drown it with milk. The milk is actually sufficient in a lot of cases. But we're gonna go to the curses, to Deuteronomy. We're gonna go to the main scripture. That aggravates vocab and all the Israelite deniers who know it to be true, but just can't handle the truth. Like you said in the movie, you can't handle the truth. This is Deuteronomy 28:68, and it reads, "And Yahawah shall bring thee into Egypt again," Egypt meaning the house of bondage, into slavery again, "with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again." The it was the land of Israel. All right, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and for bondwomen, as slave men and slave women, and no man shall buy you. All right, and meaning no one shall redeem you. Buy, Old English, meaning being redeemed. No one is going to save you from this slavery. They'll try to use the definition of buy modern day. These people are so pathetic. But it said that about Israel. All of Israel, not just the southern kingdom, but the northern kingdom as well. All right. And I'm going to read later on, of course, 2nd Ezra 13 and 40. how the Northern Kingdom came to the Americas. All right. And then you have people that are blurt out their mouth, oh, the natives came from Asia. Well, guess what? The so-called Middle East is a part of Asia. Duh. It's West Asia. This is a map of Asia. All the colored parts are Asia. Every bit of it. So Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Israel, Jordan, the United Arab Emirates, Syria, Iraq, Iran, India, Pakistan, that's all Asia. And Western Asia is the most dominant part you're looking at on the screen. Israel, Jordan, Saudi Arabia. All right. And so all the way over here to the Bering Strait is still Asia. So when they say they came from Asia, you see, and so they put a different twist on what to make you what you think Asia is. And there's no such thing as Eurasia, and there's no such thing as the Middle East. Those are lies. All to support the made up thing, which is called white superiority. So let's click to this video with Jacqueline Badalora, and then we'll come back to Cootie Merrill's video. So it's Jacqueline Badalora, and let's let her video play for a bit.
White people did not exist before 1681. Again, white people did not exist on planet Earth until 1681. Number two, any claim that this group called white people, any claim that that group is rooted in biology or derived from genes or biology or is innate or is from nature is a lie. Third and final point. As a matter of foundational law, actually, let me say it this way. White supremacy has been embedded in the United States of America from its founding as a matter of law. Now, I don't expect you...
Exactly. So they created whiteness, and it was a part of the law. So the United States, its very beginnings up till now, was built upon racism. And then you had other men that came along in the 1700s that built upon it, and and white superiority doctrines went forth. So what she's going to go to, and tell you about the Bacon's Rebellion and what was going on in the colonies, and women. It was on an average, 8 to 12 men per one woman. All right, per woman that was coming over, and so there was a shortage in women, and what was happening was the women were choosing to be with the men of color, the so-called African slaves, because you had indentured slaves, you had so-called white slaves, and you also had Negro slaves, native slaves, and you had Chinese, here. And the women were choosing to be with the men of color. And so, when this rebellion happened, basically, I'm just giving you the quick version. You can go and watch this video for yourself. All right. But when this Bacon rebellions happened, they made all these laws, and that's when they created this whiteness, and they gave these pale flesh men front of the line privileges. Now, in this video, she gives you some truths, but she also gives you some mistruths, because she talks about how there were African freedmen. No, those were Israelites. Those same men that were natives. You couldn't tell the natives and the Africans apart. In 1683, that was another thing. In 1683, in Virginia, the same place where white people, whether this whiteness was created, in 1681 and 1683, it was declared that the native and the Negro were one and the same, also in Virginia at that time. So they didn't start really separating them until later on, and and came up with all these, schemes and color schemes, and started naming people by color and all this other madness. Okay, but the thing is that they try to make it as if the Negro slaves that were here were all once slaves who got to earn their freedom, and this whole sort of thing as if they weren't already here. All right, because Benjamin Franklin's letter, which I'm going to read, is proof that these people that were coming over that she mentions from these Dutch, these Germans, these other Europeans that were coming over, many of them and a majority of them were so-called black. All right, so I'm going to read that part. So let's go to the letter Ben Franklin wrote. All right, and it's called Observations Concerning the Increase of Mankind, 1751. All right. And it reads at the 24th paragraph, I'll read the very last paragraph, all right? And it reads, which leads me to add one remark that the number of purely white people in the world is proportionally very small. I said, I will make you small among the heathen. That's scriptural, all right? And remember, this is 1751, so whiteness wasn't even 100 years old yet. You know, this was a new thing, all right? It says, all of Africa is black or tawny, all right? Meaning you are brown, all right? Asia, chiefly tawny. We just showed you the map of Asia, all right? Asia from Israel, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, which is Western Asia, all the way across to India, all the way over into Mongolia and to Russia and to China and Japan. That's all of Asia. And they were what? Tawny. Meaning they were dark complected. They had melanin in their skin. All right. As a matter of fact, a light-skinned black person was called tawny. All right. It says Asia chiefly tawny. All right. America exclusively of the newcomers, meaning the so-called white people, wholly so. So they're admitting that the people in America were black and tawny, which really means brown. Dark brown and light brown. Okay? It says, and in Europe, the Spaniards, the Italians, the French, the Russians, the Swedes, all these people are what? Well, not as outside of the Swedes, but a lot of these people, you know, these were people from Europe. Those were the yellow parts is Europe. He said Italian, Italy, and Spain, all right? But then he also spoke of the Russians. So once again, Europe and Asia were black and tawny, all right? So I'm going to go back again. It says, and in Europe, the Spaniards, the Italians, the French, the Russians, and the Swedes are generally of what we call swarthy complexion. All right, black people used to be called swarthy. As a matter of fact, the place where she comes from, and I've always assumed this chick was a Jake, and I believe that she is. All right, but she comes from Scotland. And I have a book. One of these days, I got so many books. One day it'll surface and I'll find it and do a video on it. But it talked about, and in this book, the author wrote about the black hordes, or not the black hordes, but the swarthy hordes of Scotland. The swarthy Scots. That's why he said in the movie Braveheart, the problem with Scotland is that you got so many. The word Scot means black. All right, it literally means land of the black. Scots land. All right, but anyway, it says as are also the Germans. It said, and the Saxons only accepted. So, trying to claim that the angelic sons of Isaac were the only ones that were not swarthy and tawny, all right? Which is a lie. Who with the English make up the principal body of white people on the face of the earth. I could wish their numbers were increased, and while we are, as I call it, scouring our planet by clearing America woods and making this side of the world, this side of the globe reflect a brighter light to the eyes of the inhabitants in the Mars and Venus. Which showed to show you that America was created. This whiteness was a part of it, its inception. This racism, and also the paganism of Rome all over again. Christianity was a front to control people. He just told you what they were really worshiping: Mars and Venus. It says, "Why should we, in the sight of the superior beings, darken its people? Why increase the sons of Africa by planting them in America, knowing that those so-called swarthy, those so-called black, those swarthy and tawny slaves that were brought from Africa were Israelites and not Africans, and they're very well aware of that. But see, he was already lying, trying to call himself the angelic sons of Isaac. All right. So it says, where we have so fair an opportunity by excluding all blacks and tawnies of increasing the lovely white and red. See, they're really red. All right. They're not white at all. But perhaps I am partial to the complexion of my own country, for such kind of particular is natural to mankind. All right. So that was Ben Franklin's letter in 1751. And remember, whiteness wasn't even 100 years old yet. They had created it in 1681. All right. So it was about 80, about 70 years old. About 75 years old. Something, close to that. But let's click over. Matter of fact, let me read the scripture. And then we'll click over to Cootie Merrill's video and let him speak. Isaiah 29 and 15. Because they try to hide their counsel, man. And it's all and the fact that he wrote this letter, again, did he think that Negroes would never learn to read, that people would never read? This is Isaiah 29 and 15. Warn to them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Yahawah, and their works are in the dark. And they say, who seeth us, and who knoweth us? All right. Surely your turn of things upside down shall be esteemed as a potter's clay. For shall the work say unto him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding? So he try to turn everything upside down, lie. But everything that's done in the dark is brought to the light. This is real quick. Let's go to Luke 12 and 2. And it reads, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be made known. All right. So you can't hide the truth, man. It's always going to come out, It's like oil that separates from water. The oil is always going to float to the top. All right. So without any further ado, the brother Cootie Merrill. This brother opens up with Pura here, mi gente, my people. Let me see. Let me get past his beats, his raw beats. Oh, come on,
provides
man.
the best privacy by default in any browser, while keeping you more secure from hacking.
For tuning in today, guys. Really appreciate it. Today we have a special episode of Genealogical Stories, this series I have here going, where we're going over the genealogy of famous people, whether they're celebrities or somebody important in history. And of course, today we're going to be doing Michael Jackson, the king of pop. I'm going to take this opportunity right now to go ahead and make sure to promote this series here, Genealogical Stories. There's a whole playlist again. We have episode 1, as you guys can see, with Du Bois. We did Du Bois' genealogy. Episode 2, we did Jabari's genealogy, the supposed great Pan-African scholar, huh? Yeah, we debunked that he was from Africa. The one guy that he was using to claim his African ancestry was actually a black Scottish man who was known as Guinea Jim.
You see?
But we proved he was coming from
Scotland. A black Scottish man. See, so the Scots were black. King James, all right? You got to remember, you got to look up the history of Oliver Cromwell and his brother, and their removing of all the blacks from Ireland, Scotland, and Britain. All right? But let's let them proceed.
Episode 3 is about Sarah Recta, the richest colored girl in the world. Very interesting episode as well. Make sure to catch that one. Episode 4, we did Tupac Shakur's genealogy. Very interesting. Make sure to check that one out. And episode 5, we did Nat Turner's genealogy. Nat Turner was real. It's here, Michael. It says here, birth name, Michael Joseph Jackson. Date of birth, August 29th, 1958. Place of birth, Gary, Indiana. Date of death, June 25th, 2009. In Los Angeles, California. So we got to dodge the hijack because right away they're saying ethnicity, African American.
See,
so
they lie.
You guys are gonna see there ain't nothing African about him. At least that we can.
Right, and now that's also called Negroes. Nothing African about them. All right, and remember, he's not a Negro. He's a Gadite from the tribe of Gad, from 12 tribes of Israel. All right, Africa is named after a so-called white man named Scipio Africanus. All right, Asia is named after a white man named Scipio Asiaticus, Africanus' brother. All right, so America is named after a white man named Amerigo Vespucci. So there's no such thing as an African American. All right, this is just something that they made up.
Prove in his tree. It says here, Michael Jackson was an American singer, songwriter, record producer, dancer, and actor. He was nicknamed the King of Pop. He electrified audiences with his stage performances and dance routines. Michael was the son of Catherine, Kathy, Esther B. Screws, who had played clarinet and piano and aspired to be a country and western musician, and Joseph Walter Jackson, who played guitar with a rhythm and blues band, the Falcons. He was the brother of singer, songwriter, and actress Janet Jackson, and singer and songwriter LaToya Jackson. He had 3 children, including Paris Jackson, musicians 3T, Tariano Jackson, Taro Jackson, and Tito Jackson are his nephews. Michael went through an abusive childhood at the hands of his father, Joseph. All right. Now, this is a little personal stuff here. You know, I don't know.
That's well, they already lied about him being African American, so there they go attacking what they perceived fraudulently to be a black man. So disregard all that.
That's what they're saying here. Despite the controversies in Michael's life, he has always been loved by his fans. Michael died on June 25th, 2009, at the age of 50.
Oh, yeah, and by the way, you had Aaron Carter, one of the supposed victims, you know, or would-be victims of Michael Jackson with all that child, you know, touch stuff, came out and on record and said that they would try to pay him and his family to lie on Michael. So, all right, and then remember Macaulay Culkin defended him too and said he never was on no bullshit with him. So,
cardiac arrest, all right? Was it a natural cardiac arrest or was it caused? Michael's father has stated that he has Native American ancestry, okay? We're going to verify all this today, guys. Michael's brother, Jermaine, has said this also.
And we saw Jermaine in the beginning. You can clearly see those so-called Native features in Jermaine's face. All of them. You know, Jackie, Marlon, all of them. All right? But, you know, you can go and watch this video. It's episode 6, Genealogy. Stories, Michael Jackson's true ancestry and ethnic background, Choctaw. Let's go to the scriptures. All right, this is how the Israelites came to America. This is 2nd Ezra 13 and 40, and it reads: "Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Shalmaneser the king of Assyria led away captive, and had carried them over the water, so that they came into another land, all right, but took counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt." Well, you're looking at, well, this is mostly, you don't see, well, you see all of Europe and all of Asia, because Europe is not that large, right, on this map, but you only see a portion of Africa, because this is actually, you know, an Asian map. That's why all of Asia is in color, proving that, you know, there's no such thing as the Middle East, you know, as if that was a race of people, or, you know, within itself. All right, and the point being that these people came from that part of the world. All right, they came from over there, and it says, but they and all those lands that I just showed you on that map were fully occupied with people. All right, the only place that where no one had ever lived was in America. All right, the Israelites had come here. There's even evidence that the Chinese had come, and we know that what's his name? The Hamite that was the servant of King Solomon. I can't think of his name right now. Someone can put it on the comment board. I'm pretty sure it's in the Book of Kings. Can't think of his name. But that's how those Olmecs got here. You know, those Hamites were coming back and forth for King Solomon. All right. But it says, they took counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth further into a further country where never mankind dwelt, that they may keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow place of the river, for the Most High then showed them signs, and he held stood the flood till they were passed over. All right. And for the Most High, and for through the country there was a great way to go, namely a year and a half, and the same region is called Ashereth. And you have Jewish scholars that identified America as being Ashereth. All right. So it's really plain. They came here to America. They didn't. The 12 tribes didn't go down into Africa. People were living in Africa. Duh. All right. So with that, we're gonna give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Qadash, Qadash, Baba Bal, Kwam, Yasharala, Shalom.